All right. Howdy, hello, hola. Au revoir. Is that goodbye? There's a nice cool breeze, but it's almost too cool. Okay, I made a post that this week's Sunday Night Live is going to be at 7:15 because I was out taking a walk. And I've been recovering from exhaustion. So, and then I've got this laptop riser, which it's just tilted. It's not really raised. So I don't have music, but just like I said a few weeks ago, if you want to sing yourself a song, I think I'm going to go get myself a little cup of some mushroom coffee. And then we'll start the live at 7:15, which would be 1 minute. Let's see if I can do it. Hello. No, I'm not going to feed you right now, okay? You're going to have to wait. Okay. I apologize to those who are watching the playback. I know you have to sit and wait and wonder what's going on, why I'm chit-chatting. I'm kind of waiting for people to come on. But one of the reasons, well, the main reason why I am later today is that I have been walking almost every day, along with me going to work. It has been my legs were like jello. So I've just had to really, really do nothing but rest with my legs up for the past couple of days. It's really good for the abdomen and the intestines. They feel much better. And I am going to start having my clothes be a little bit looser. So that's good. And I don't know if this is a good glare to have here. Why is my ring light so dark? Okay. So the latest update I need to give you is that I've got 3 days of school left. And that's why I've been trying to work more. Plus, I've been walking more. I wasn't able to get up and take a job on Friday, which bummed me out. It really did, because my legs were like jello. I had spent Thursday in sped, and every second those kids demanded attention. Everybody's restless. Nobody wants to be there anymore. So it's going to take me another day to get my Black Moon Lilith oil in this beautiful little bottle and then list it on my coffee account. I have a couple of other pretty bottles that I also want to use. The other one, let me grab it here. The other one is different, so you'll have a choice. But I believe it's still going to be about half an ounce. And it is a special blend, which I'll have the description all typed up on my coffee account so that you can read it and you can see what it is when I made it and so forth and so on. It is charged. And I felt that Lilith was telling me how to make it and what to put in it. I've got on my little sports tank thing under here. And this is looser. This is getting looser. Just a little tiny bit. So that's good. It's probably going to take me more than 4 months this time to actually lose the excess in the middle. How does Harry Potter say, the middle? In the middle. But that's okay. It took me about that long years ago, and this time it could take me longer, but that's okay. The other update now, this is very interesting. I talked about my geometric symbol that came into my mind. I'd done a candle working and an image showed up. And after I got over the grief and the shock and accepted what it was, the next day, this geometric shape came into my mind. And I was getting ready to go to work. I'd been called for an assignment. And it was just, to me, like a square, but it was translucent, like lucite. And it was opened. It was an open weave geometric square. And as the sides would turn, I could see on two sides multicolors like a prism. And then it would turn another way, and I'd see two sides again near the top, multicolored prism. I'm wondering if this is what's described as some type of an angel. I just took it as I had reached some type of a new frequency. And what happened, that evening, that afternoon, as I got into my truck to come home, I'd started thinking about an episode on Charmed where Paige went to magic school, like, Harry Potter, wizardry school. And I'd seen that before, and from time to time that would come to my mind, and I thought, that's what I'd really like to do. And that moment, I thought of it again, and I thought, you know what, that's what I really want to do. And somehow, some way, when I got home, I got on my phone, and there was a community post from Lee W. Johnson that he has a witch school and he's looking for teachers. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful coincidence. So I thought, oh my gosh. Not only that, he said, if you have a course, you can bring it over here or promote your course or something. And I thought, wow, I think I'm finally going to be able to promote my course and be a teacher at witch school and maybe make another course, which I'd like to do the dark arts, to tell you the truth. I would really, really like to be a teacher of defense of the dark arts. There's a lot to it, but I mean, I've experienced a lot and I've learned quite a lot from being exposed to an incredible amount of strange, cruel, negative entities, and had been led to learn the hard way that I need to learn psychic self-defense and wear a talisman. So now it's brand new, and he said there are some glitches. So I just signed up and I emailed him and I asked him, what do I do next? It says there's a teacher's user agreement. And so he's emailed me back, but I really need to go through and read it all. And there's going to be a way for me to link, he said, my online course. All right. So I'm trying not to beat myself up too much about it because I just had to do nothing but lay in bed, light a red candle to try to get my energy back. 3 more days left of school. I'm praying and meditating that I can at least get one job tomorrow and maybe half a day on Tuesday. You never know. One year I worked until the end of the school year. I had a long-term assignment for kindergarten and I was there for 2 whole weeks, even at the field trip, like the day before the last day of school. And it was just so I was only there for 2 weeks, but I did a lot. And when the time came for us to all say goodbye and share a story or something, I said, well, I remember my kindergarten teacher, believe it or not. Her name was Miss Burlingame, and she was pregnant. And I can't remember when she had her baby, but I just said that, I remember my years in elementary school. I remember my time in kindergarten. And I said, I got really teary-eyed. I got all choked up and I said, and it was really nice, really wonderful to be here. And one of the mothers came and brought me a bag with gifts in it. I said, it's just been so wonderful. I'm really going to miss you all. And the teacher was also touched and a little surprised. That's a lot of kids to be around, but it's still wonderful. It's crazy, but it's wonderful. It's a mad, 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 mad world. Oh. I'm hoping, guys, that this is really going to be my last year. If I have to work 1 day a week, that was my goal last year or the year before, was to go from 4 days a week to 3 days a week, 3 days a week to 2 days a week. But with inflation, that just wasn't happening. Now, I'm still learning and I'm still having to wrap my head around some things that have to do with ritual and spiritism and spirits and gods and goddesses. And as I have been listening to different information, different points of view, on YouTube. I've come across a new channel that I've been watching for several weeks, I think. And some of it is a little bit uh, difficult to understand. He'll sort of infer as to what he's talking about. And then there's lots of different spells and rituals that you can do and grids that you can set up that he feels are very important. Now, I do work with stones. Anytime I do a spell or a ritual, I always have some kind of stones. He mentioned carnelian is very good for protection. And I can tell you, let me go get it. Years ago, as I was going through perimenopause and just dealing with a lot of things in my marriage to the man who didn't understand that he wasn't doing enough. He was a narcissist and was siphoning my energy in his own way. I just began to feel incredibly drained and dehydrated. And it wasn't my ears, it wasn't anything, but I felt like I was probably getting, well, dehydrated and dried up, and I was having cramps and such, but nothing was happening. I took the carnelian agate, and I had been studying about stones, and I held it in my left hand under my pillow. That's about all I could do, was just lay there. And I did that for several hours. And I'm not kidding. After several days of feeling like crap, it only took a couple of hours for me to suddenly feel better. Now, that's not a placebo effect. There's something about the carnelian that's very protective, and I believe it helped to protect me from whatever it was that I was dealing with at the time, from having to be the primary caregiver and a husband who was really just there, and I guess he was making soup, you know, wasn't interacting with the children while I was sick in bed. And it had gotten black at the time in one spot. It's kind of faded, but I just thought that was fascinating. It's like the stone took away whatever it was, that was making me ill. So this man, whoever it is, the I am, the I am, said that it's a very, very protective agate carnelian, and that you needed to have it to protect you for some reason during the lunar eclipse. Now, this to me is something that I don't understand, but it's got to do with some Persian spirituality, that there were some negative spirits during that time that were coming to the surface of the earth. Well, they're already here, if you ask me. I guess there was more. So, and putting a salt around your home or the inside of your home to protect. Now, I didn't have anything happen this year on the lunar eclipse as far as an insightful dream. I did, however, have one on the solar eclipse, and it was prophetic. And I had seen the southeastern part of the globe chipping off like a cookie that's crumbling. And I remember feeling a really strong jolt. And I thought, wow, what was that, an earthquake? And that's when I turned around to see an image of the globe and the southeastern part of it crumbling like a cookie. That's never happened to me before, as far as me having a prophetic dream about the globe. So that was very interesting. Whatever happened on the lunar eclipse activated something within me that helped me have this prophetic dream on the solar eclipse. think I'm crooked. I look crooked. Sorry. Okay. So that is what I've been watching lately. He's made some very interesting historical comments about the past and the use of blood in protective rituals and rituals in general. One of the things I found very interesting is that I needed more information on the spirit called Mammon. Now, when you listen to words in the scriptures in the Bible, such as spare the rod and spoil the child, it's usually, in my mind, as a very suggestive child when I was young, spare the rod, spoil the child. Years later, my sister said to me, well, what if it's spare the rod and spoil the child? And that might not necessarily mean spoil the child. But the rod is, instrument of hitting, unless it was only used as an instrument of measurement. If you don't gauge on the ruler how much you need to teach the child discipline, right? That's what the rod was, discipline. But, it can be misinterpreted. Another thing that may have been misinterpreted, I think, is another scripture that a lot of us maybe deal with. It's you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve God and Mammon. Now, when you are growing up, part-time or full-time, in a Christian church, in a Christian ideology, it's presented to you as you cannot serve two masters, right? You cannot serve Christ, which is what we're here for, and Mammon. And then Mammon, of course, was described as the material and excess, greed, avarice. But everything needs to be tempered, right? So if you learn how to temper what it is that you're working with and what you're asking for, what I've also heard is that Mammon can work very, very strong. Wants to work very strong and very quick, and can dismantle everything in your life so that you can rebuild to get what you've requested. Now, this to me sounds like Klonick, who I worked with before my mobile home started falling apart, and I needed to sell it, which I had planned to sell it anyway in about 5 years, but I was procrastinating because I was by myself. So Klondike lights a fire under your butt, gets you going every single day. But will also have you dismantle anything and everything that's a distraction from you getting the money that you're seeking. And if you don't have a business with a product to sell and offer and you're ready to go, then it will have you selling anything and everything that you do have as a resource. Why? Because our material things can end up owning us. And so this is an astrological aspect that Klondike has in Sagittarius, where it's very unmaterialistic, right? Like a minimalist. That's okay because I thought I have to bug out and by myself. And if it sells, I'm going to have to pack a suitcase and get out. So fortunately, I had two friends who offered to come over and help me clean and put what little tiny bit of things I had left, like a file box and a computer and some pictures, to help me load up my U-Haul and then clean. which was very surprising and very awesome. And then I got every single penny back out of the house. The house all of a sudden sold at the last minute. Somebody, my real estate agent called and said somebody has said they want to come and buy the house. So it's a little negotiation. It sold for every penny that I had ever put into that house. I got every dollar back. Now, I did have to pay my agent, but I was very grateful. He was very good. So I got the money I needed. I was able to take the summer off, which is what I requested, and not have to work my job so many days. Well, then the pandemic came. So, there's ups and downs, and it's just all really about learning. And I have. Every single time that I've had a setback, I have learned a lot. So then the next time that I go out into the world to do something similar, I will do better. So at the moment, as I'm looking at Mammon, I have worked with Mammon in the past, and I may have deleted the video. I don't remember. I asked Mammon, I said, I would like to ask you, please, to work with me in a more gentle way. I am not able to do nothing but go to my job or run my Etsy shop and not be able to go to my job. There's only so much that I can do. Everything else will fall by the wayside. So what happened was I did my little request, took a shower, got out, and I heard from my ex who asked, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm not doing so hot. I'm really suffering with my stupid allergy, sinus, headache, all this stuff. And I need medicine. I need soup. I need a pain pill. So he went and bought everything that I needed. That was a service. So Mammon does have to do with you being able to get services. It's not necessarily about becoming so wealthy that you have servants, right? Wealthy people have servants. They don't have to work. Well, some wealthy people still work. And nowadays, if you put it in modern terms, services can be merry maids coming in once a week to help you clean, Walmart grocery delivery service, being able to afford a lawn care service because you don't have the time or energy to mow your lawn, and being able to afford a car that's on a lease so that if it has to go in the shop, you can get a ride to work and back home or to the garage. Things like that. Services that support you, right? If you're a boss, you're delegating to other people the things to do. And this is what I need, and this is what I want. And generally, as we get older, we've done a lot of things. Usually, if we're middle class or lower middle class, where we don't have a nanny, we don't have a grocery shopping service, we don't have a clothes. Some people will go to the store and buy clothes for you, and they'll even set up a portfolio for different outfits for different meetings that you'll be having, and it'll be all set up in your closet. This is their job. These people need to make money doing that, and you want to be able to pay them to do that for you. This is what I would say would be the modern servants. People providing services for you that you have to have in order to focus on your business, right? For me, being alone, if I'm going to be teaching at which school, figuring out how to upload my online course or link my online course, answer questions from students on the Facebook page for Dreams and Kinetic Powers, which is what goes along with I've been saying my online course. Here's where you can ask questions. You're not alone. You can come here I have to be able to monitor that. I have to be able to go and do that. And I do need someone to actually bring my groceries, at least to the bottom of the stairs, and then I can bring them up. These are time-saving things that a lot of people have to do. Men are smart in that way that they know, I need somebody. But I'm not willing to be that person. I've been down that road. And before my mobile home sold, I wrote down all the things that I was going to need. Because if my car breaks down, I need a second transportation, or I need money for Lyft, or I need a car with a lease that would provide a ride for me to and from the garage, to work or to home, you know what I mean? Whatever. I would need a lawn care service for the next time I have a home, grocery, get online to order groceries and have them deliver them to the house. I've seen people do that in my previous apartment complex. Now, as things are possibly getting more stressful with inflation, which is what this man has been saying on his channel, there is much more of a need to look at and listen to this type of spiritual work, perhaps in a new way. He believes that the people who have only devoted their life to following a true Christian lifestyle, which I know is basically not caring about the material world. And I know a lot of people do. They do it anyway. But a lot of people still believe that they should only have a few outfits and not really care about so much what they're wearing. We can't walk around in a burlap bag every day. That's for people who truly want to be like a monk. And it does take time to devote to a spiritual education, for sure. And that's why I get behind on my mundane life. So, but he stated that while they are preaching for you to be holy and not care about the material world and not get caught up in it, they're raking in the bucks because they probably are secretly working with Mammon. They're receiving money, which is ruled by Mammon. One thing I had not heard before is that Mammon is just really about sustenance. If you are not aligned with getting the sustenance that you need, you have to align yourself with focusing on getting the sustenance that you need. So, where intention goes, energy flows. And as you know, any spell would need to require you to focus on the abundance or the prosperity. The spirit of money, Mammon, is about sustenance. And then, of course, it's up to you how you use it. And if you don't have a product or a service, he may dismantle your life in a way that is very shocking and very difficult to have to deal with. But when it is all over, if you survive it, for me, it was very difficult. It was the dead of winter, and my car was repossessed, and I had to walk to work and walk home in the dead of winter, sometimes take Lyft. Then my pipes froze, and I had to go outside to get snow and melt it. I mean, it was a comedy of errors. But I now know how to think myself out of a paper bag. And in the end, I was rewarded at the very last minute, of course. I always joke and say they're always testing me or teasing me or playing with me, making me wait till the last minute. And the priest at temple said that Vishnu can do that too. But at the time I was calling on Ganesha, and I was reading the cards, and the cards were giving me hope. The cards were showing Success is ensured at a fast pace. And then near the very end of May, the cards were showing me fast moving forces at work. So that's what gave me hope. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. And you can share your thoughts here in the comment section. And when you go to look at the comments, if you see 2 or 3 dots, just scroll to the right, and then you should be able to see what the comments were for that live stream that evening. Now, last weekend, today, there isn't anybody. I'm not sure why. I guess everybody's busy with their own thing. But desperate times call for new ways of thinking and learning and listening to what is really being said. He pointed out that it was the occult sciences that saved the families of Israel back when the angel of death came to collect the firstborn, and they had to put the blood of a lamb, marked over their front door, and then they would be passed over. That's what Passover is about. So this is why I have tended to say that it's hypocritical and talks out of both sides of its mouth. That was not just for that one time and that one thing. We talked about the blood of Christ. We sang about the blood of Christ. And, if you've been down that road and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, change your focus. Don't spend so much time wondering and worrying about Christ consciousness and how to be like Christ. And focus on your sustenance. There's nothing wrong with focusing on what you need in your sustenance. And I'm going to be doing a little tiny ritual tonight so that I can prosper over the summer with this new opportunity and selling my course and really not being able to do DoorDash because now my truck is on its last leg. I've been driving it a lot. It's old. So yeah, I went to look at a car, talked to a young man for the 3rd time, and he said, "I'm sorry, Sabrina, your credit score is still not high enough for us to sell you a car with no down payment, and you do have some outstanding bills. So keep saving your money, and if you get a couple thousand, we might be able to find a place that will let you purchase a car." He also told me it needs to be less than 80,000 miles because the fewer the miles that it has, the better chance you have of getting financed. But for now, I'm just going to have to drive it till it drops and focus on doing what I've been wanting to do for, 5 years at least, work from home online. Please wish me luck. Please check out Witch Academy. And I should actually try to give you that link. Let me see if I've got it here. Okay, there I am on my live. That's good. Let me try my PC. All right, I might black out here for a second. Witch Academy .online. And I've listed myself as Professor Claire. And I don't know if that's going to still be showing because he said he had to change that to just instructor. I don't know. He said there's some glitches he's still trying to iron out. But I'm going to be an instructor at Witch Academy. Like Paige in the witch school in Charmed. or Professor McGonagall in the witch school, which is super, 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 super exciting, guys. And I got to figure out how to be. My next course, I really want it to be Defense of the Dark Arts, because I have learned some things that I think are basically only been information that's been given out by the church. And it's information that any of us can actually discover. It's actually been given to me, and I want to talk about it. And it is these spirits that actually get a hold of these young children that become narcissists. And it's powerful information for us to know and to have, so that we know what we're dealing with. Along with the fact that there's more than one type of a spirit that actually is attached. They don't work alone, they work in groups. So that's another thing. Lots of other protective psychic self-defense that I have been talking about lately, right? Such as wearing a protective amulet, perfume that maybe has patchouli, just a whole variety of things. Some people write an entire book about psychic self-defense. So I guess that's going to be it for this evening. I do have one person who's been coming and going, and now they're back. So if you want to say hello or ask a question, I've been announcing my new position as an instructor at witchacademy.online. And I called myself Professor Claire, but I need to get on there and learn how to use this site and what I can do as an instructor. And if I create a new course, maybe just record it on my computer and upload it that way. But my other course is on Thinkific. So I have to see if there's a way for me to actually link an outside web page, that people can pull up and work, or just have them go over to Thinkific and purchase it there, which would be freaking awesome, because if I could get a couple of sales on that in the month of May or June, to supplement my income. And then I am putting my Lilith oil, which this man was talking about Lilith as well, how important she is as an aspect of a mother. And he said in the fifth dimension. So we talked about third, fourth, and fifth dimension. Although she's been reduced to the fourth dimension, he doesn't think that we should be working with spirits in the fourth dimension. We should only be like commanding them to do a particular thing under the authority of, I guess, something in the fifth dimension. I don't know. I'm not signing up to be a student at his academy. I've spent most of my life getting to where I am so far. So I do agree with working with the mother Lilith, because she's in your chart and she represents an aspect of ourself that we can work with to release shadow fears, right? Hidden fears that we need to understand. And that by me working with her every Saturday, I was able to finally come across the word narcissism, look at my husband and how he behaved, and then realize it all started with my mother. So we need to be aware of those behaviors, so that if we ever get anybody else who comes to us, by the way, and wants to get very serious with you very fast, this is the biggest clue, guys, in the beginning. If someone comes up to you and engages with you and you start a date, you go out on a date, and perhaps at the end of that date or in the middle of the second date, they talk about moving in together. Warning, warning. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. That is your biggest clue. I knew someone who said that they did that at the end of the first date. The husband had proposed that they move in together and get engaged and get married. And the lady said yes. Years later, she had a mysterious, rare bone marrow disease. And I've talked about this in my recent videos. Energy siphoning, vampirism. There's an invisible phenomenon that happens, guys. And most of the empaths get some type of a disease or have an organ failure. And they pass before the narcissist. So you're much better off with someone who's taken it slow and just taken the time to get to know you, right? No matter how much you would like to start something with someone, it's better to be getting to know them through messaging or video, online dating, I guess, through video, right? Sit and have dinner together online. Get to know each other. Ask questions. And if they haven't asked you to move in after the second date, then I would say you're probably okay to spend more time getting to know them. Who's here? Because I'm about to say goodbye. So that's the good news. I'm very glad, because if we get all caught up once again in being a partner to somebody else and we don't have anything else going for us and they don't want us to do those things, it could change, They want us to stay home more often or not do quite as much on our, with our brewing of our oils or offering a healing ritual. Then you've got some conversations that you have to have. All right. That's it for today. Whoever's here. Bye-bye. I will have to hope and visualize for more people coming to Chit Chat next week. I would like to continue this conversation. I'll let you know what happens with me after my little candle working tonight. And namaste, blessed be. I may make another video this week. I don't know. I'm not doing as much anymore. I'm really just hopping on for the Sunday night lives. So if it's related to ancient religions, paganism, the fourth dimension, the gods, the fifth dimension, or even the angels, you can make a request and I'll see if it's something that I know enough to talk about. All right. Come on and listen and maybe share, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye. Bye.